In the fading light of a winter evening, where dreams often collide with reality, a solitary figure moved through the shadows of an old stadium in Manchester. The facility, worn by time but rich in history, housed a lesser-known team's training session. The figure, wrapped in a modest gray hoodie and wearing a black face mask, was none other than Cristiano Ronaldo, though none would have guessed it. The greatest footballer of his generation had chosen this moment of solitude for a purpose that few would understand. At 39, with countless trophies and records to his name, Ronaldo wasn't here to be seen. He was here to remember, to feel the raw essence of where it all began. The smell of fresh-cut grass carried him back to his youth in Madeira, where a skinny boy once dreamed impossible dreams. The sound of boots striking balls echoed through the empty stands, a symphony he had known all his life. As he walked along the touchline, his hand brushed against the cold metal railing, feeling every dent and imperfection, much like the journey that had brought him here. The training session below was nothing spectacular, a small club's reserve team preparing for a friendly match. Yet, something in the scene held Ronaldo's attention. Perhaps it was the simplicity, the pure love of the game untainted by fame and fortune. He watched from the shadows of the stands, a ghost in his own temple of football. But then, the peaceful scene shifted. Through the gathering mist, a young man approached the training ground. His shoulders were squared with determination, though his worn boots and patched training kit spoke of hardship. The young man, barely 20, was tall and athletic, with skin the color of mahogany and eyes that burned with an all-too-familiar fire, the same fire that had once burned in a young Ronaldo's heart. The boy, as Ronaldo would later learn, was named Marcus Thompson. He had traveled from South London, having spent his last pounds on a train ticket, carrying nothing but a backpack and an unshakable dream. This was his third attempt to get a trial with any professional team, having faced rejection after rejection, yet his spirit remained unbroken. As Marcus approached the head coach, a man known as Richard Barrett, Ronaldo noticed a subtle change in the atmosphere. The other players stopped their drills, and an uncomfortable silence fell over the pitch. Barrett's face twisted into something ugly, an expression Ronaldo had seen too many times in his career, one that had no place in the beautiful game. "Excuse me, sir." Marcus's voice carried across the field, strong despite his obvious nervousness. "I was wondering if I could have a trial with the team. I played semi-pro in London, and I have some videos of my matches." Before he could finish, Barrett's laugh cut through the air like a whip. "We're not holding open trials," he sneered, his eyes deliberately scanning Marcus from head to toe. "Especially not for, well, someone like you. We have standards here." The words hung in the air like poison, their meaning unmistakable. Several players looked away, ashamed but unwilling to speak up. Marcus stood there, his dreams crumbling before him, but his dignity intact. It was at this moment that something stirred in Ronaldo's chest, a familiar fire, the same one that had driven him to fight against every obstacle in his path. He had faced prejudice himself, had been the poor boy from Madeira whom nobody believed in, but he had proven them all wrong. And in this moment, he saw his younger self in Marcus's unwavering stance. As Barrett continued his tirade, growing more explicit in his racism, Ronaldo's hand moved to his face mask. The time for watching from the shadows was over. Sometimes, destiny calls in unexpected ways, and on this cold Manchester evening, a legend was about to step into the light and change a young man's life forever. "You're wasting my time," Barrett spat, turning his back on Marcus. "Security, get this boy off my pitch." But before security could move, a voice cut through the tension, clear, authoritative, and carrying the weight of decades of excellence. "The only person wasting time here is you, Mr. Barrett." All heads turned toward the hooded figure, now walking down from the stands. With deliberate slowness, Ronaldo removed his mask and lowered his hood. The gasps were audible. Several players dropped their balls. A young goalkeeper actually fell over. "See Cristiano Ronaldo?" Barrett stammered, his face draining of color. Yes, Ronaldo replied, his Portuguese accent carrying a steel edge rarely heard in interviews. I've been watching for the past hour. I've seen enough to know two things. He held up one finger. First, your training methods are outdated. A second finger joined the first. And second, you're a disgrace to football. The stadium had fallen, so silent you could hear the winter wind whistling through the stands. Marcus stood frozen, his eyes wide with disbelief as his childhood hero walked past him to stand face to face with Barrett. I came here today to remember my roots, Ronaldo continued, his voice carrying across the pitch. To remind myself of where I started. You know where that was? Madeira. Poor, hungry, different. But I had one thing. He turned to look at Marcus. The same thing I see in this young man's eyes. Determination. Barrett tried to regain his composure. Mr. Ronaldo, with all due respect, this is a private training session dash. With all due respect. Ronaldo's laugh was sharp. You speak of respect while showing none? I've played in 4 continents. I've shared locker rooms with players from every corner of this planet. And do you know what makes a footballer great? He paused, his eyes scanning the gathered players. It's not the color of their skin. It's not where they come from. It's what's in here. He tapped his chest. The heart, the dedication, the sacrifice. Pulling out his phone, Ronaldo pressed a few buttons. I've recorded everything you said. In 2024, there's no place for racism in football. No place for it anywhere. His thumb hovered over the screen. I have over 500 million followers on social media. Should I share with them how you treat young talent? Barrett's face went from white to green. The implications were clear. His career would be over in minutes. Please, Barrett whispered. I have a family. So, do the young players you've turned away, Ronaldo replied. Dreams you've crushed. Futures you've damaged. He turned to the assistant coach. Call the club chairman. Now. While the assistant made the call, Ronaldo walked over to Marcus, who was still trying to process what was happening. What's your name, kid? Marcus Thompson, sir. I can't believe you're here. Ronaldo smiled, the kind of smile that had lit up stadiums worldwide. Believe it. Now, show me what you can do. He picked up a ball and tossed it to Marcus. Just you and me. Show me why you came here today. For the next 15 minutes, as club officials rushed to the stadium, Marcus Thompson played one-on-one with Cristiano Ronaldo. With each touch, each move, the young man's confidence grew. His natural talent was raw but undeniable. Ronaldo saw flashes of brilliance that reminded him of himself at that age. When the chairman arrived, red-faced and out of breath, Ronaldo was ready. The evidence was presented. Barrett was immediately suspended pending investigation, and Marcus's life was about to change forever. Pack your bags, kid, Ronaldo said, placing a hand on Marcus's shoulder. You're coming with me to Saudi Arabia. Let's see what you're really capable of. As they walked off the pitch together, Marcus looked back one last time at Barrett, who sat alone on the bench, head in his hands. But this wasn't the end of their story. It was just the beginning of a journey that would shake the football world to its core. The private jet cut through the night sky, carrying 2 men separated by generations but united by destiny. Marcus sat quietly, still processing the events of the past 24 hours. Across from him, Ronaldo studied the young man with calculating eyes. You know, Ronaldo broke the silence. Talent is only 5% of success. He leaned forward, his expression intense. Are you ready for the other 95%? Marcus straightened in his seat. Yes, sir. I'll do whatever it takes. Don't call me sir, Ronaldo smiled. Call me Cristiano. But remember this moment, because from tomorrow, I won't be your friend. I'll be your nightmare. And true to his word, the nightmare began at 4:30 a.m. the next morning. While the streets of Riyadh were still dark, Marcus found himself running through the desert heat. Ronaldo ran beside him, not as a companion, but as a drill sergeant. Faster! Ronaldo's voice cut through the morning air. You think champions are made by running at comfortable speeds? I was doing this at your age with ankle weights. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The training regimen was brutal, beyond anything Marcus had imagined. Every day began before dawn and ended long after sunset. Ronaldo wasn't just teaching football. He was rebuilding a human being from the ground up. Your body is a temple, Ronaldo would say during their nutrition sessions. But most players treat it like a playground. No alcohol, no processed sugar. Your fuel must be as premium as your ambitions. The training wasn't just physical. Hours were spent studying game footage, analyzing plays, and learning the psychological warfare that separated good players from legends. Ronaldo shared everything, his tricks, his mindset, his failures. You see the scar? Ronaldo pointed to his knee one evening. 2014 World Cup. I played injured because I wanted to prove I was superhuman. Stupid. A champion knows when to push and when to recover. Balance, Marcus. Always balance. But the hardest lessons weren't about football at all. They were about character. One day, after a particularly grueling session, Marcus collapsed on the training ground, frustration boiling over. I can't do this anymore. It's too much. Ronaldo stood over him, his shadow long in the setting sun. You know what Bear would say if he saw you now. He'd say he was right about you. Marcus's head snapped up, anger flashing in his eyes. Good, Ronaldo nodded. Use that anger, but not for him. Use it for yourself. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's becoming so great that their opinion becomes irrelevant. The transformation was gradual but undeniable. Marcus's body became lean, muscular, engineered for performance. His touch grew more precise, his vision sharper, his confidence unshakable. But more importantly, his mind evolved. During one training session, 6 months in, something clicked. Marcus was running drills against Al Nassr's first-team defenders, moving with a grace that seemed supernatural. He scored goal after goal, each more spectacular than the last. Ronaldo watched from the sidelines, a small smile playing on his lips. The cocoon was cracking. A butterfly was emerging. That evening, as they sat reviewing footage, Ronaldo turned to Marcus. Tomorrow, you'll start your first professional match. Marcus's heart skipped a beat. Already? But dash. No buts. Ronaldo interrupted. You're ready. But remember, this is just the beginning. The world will be watching, and not everyone will be happy to see you succeed. Some will wait for you to fail. Others will try to make you fail. Are you ready for that? Marcus met his mentor's gaze. I was born ready. Good, Ronaldo nodded. Because tomorrow isn't just about football. It's about showing every kid who's ever been told they don't belong that dreams don't discriminate. It's about proving that talent knows no color. It's about changing the game. As Marcus lay in bed that night, he thought about how far he'd come from that cold evening in Manchester. Tomorrow would be his first step into the spotlight, but somehow he knew it wouldn't be his last. The nightmare was ending. The dream was just beginning. The stadium lights blazed against the Arabian night sky as Marcus Thompson stepped onto the pitch for his professional debut. The Al Nassr jersey felt like armor, and Ronaldo's words echoed in his mind. Play like you own the stadium. What happened next became instant football legend. Within the first 15 minutes, Marcus scored twice. One a perfectly timed header, the other a 30-yard screamer that bent impossibly into the top corner. The crowd, initially skeptical of this unknown player, was on their feet. By the end of the match, a 5-0 victory with Marcus scoring 4 and assisting 1. The stadium was chanting his name. In the locker room afterward, Ronaldo simply nodded. Good start. Tomorrow we train at 4:30. That match was just the beginning. Over the next 2 years, Marcus Thompson became a phenomenon. His rise wasn't just meteoric. It was revolutionary. He broke Ronaldo's scoring record in the Saudi Pro League, then proceeded to shatter every other record in sight. But it wasn't just about the numbers. It was how he played. A perfect fusion of Ronaldo's precision and power with his own natural flair. Videos of his goals went viral weekly. Children in streets from Rio to Rotterdam began copying his signature moves. His story, the rejected player who became a superstar, resonated worldwide. Then came the call up to the English national team. "They're giving you a chance," Ronaldo told him. "Now make them regret not doing it sooner." Marcus's international debut came against France in a friendly. The world watched as he scored a perfect hat-trick in the first half. The British press, initially skeptical, now called him the future of English football. But Ronaldo made sure success didn't change him. "Fame is like a strong wind," he would say during their continued training sessions. "It can either fill your sails or blow you off course. Stay anchored in who you are." 3 years after that fateful day in Manchester, Marcus had become one of the most valuable players in football history. When Real Madrid came calling with a record-breaking transfer fee, it felt like destiny. The same club that had helped shape Ronaldo would now welcome his protege. The press conference announcing his signing was packed. One journalist asked about Barrett, the coach who had rejected him. "I thank him," Marcus replied, showing the wisdom Ronaldo had instilled. "Without that moment, I wouldn't be here." Sometimes your biggest setback becomes your biggest setup. His first season at Real Madrid was historic. 58 goals in all competitions, breaking records that had stood for decades. But it wasn't just his playing that made headlines. It was his character. He established a foundation helping underprivileged youth get into football, focusing especially on those facing discrimination. The World Cup was approaching, and England had never looked stronger. Marcus wasn't just a player anymore. He was their leader. In training sessions, his teammates saw the same fire that Ronaldo had recognized years ago. One evening, after another record-breaking performance, Marcus found a message from Ronaldo. "You've exceeded everything I taught you, but your greatest achievement isn't the goals or the records. It's the lives you're changing. Every kid who looks at you and thinks, if he can do it, so can I. That's your real legacy." As Marcus stood on his balcony overlooking Madrid, the same city where Ronaldo had become a legend, he reflected on his journey. From rejection in Manchester to the heights of world football, he had done more than prove Barrett wrong. He had changed the narrative. But the story wasn't over. The World Cup loomed, and with it, the chance to achieve something even his mentor hadn't managed. And somewhere in Manchester, a disgraced former coach was about to watch his biggest mistake lift the most prestigious trophy in football. The 2026 World Cup Final, England versus Brazil. 90 minutes that would define not just a career, but a movement. In the tunnel before the match, Marcus touched the 3 lions on his chest, remembering every step that had led here. His phone buzzed, a message from Ronaldo. "Show them what we built." The game was epic, the stuff of football folklore. With 10 minutes left, the score was tied 2-2, and Marcus had already scored both of England's goals. As he stood over a free kick 30 yards out, time seemed to slow. In the stands, Ronaldo watched, knowing this was a moment legends are born. The ball flew like a guided missile, swerving impossibly around the wall, leaving the goalkeeper rooted to the spot. Wembley erupted. England was ahead. When the final whistle blew, Marcus Thompson had done what no Englishman had done since 1966, brought football home. As he lifted the World Cup trophy, cameras caught him mouthing, "This is for you, CR7. The student had become the master, but the story's most powerful moment was yet to come. A week after the World Cup victory, during his Ballon d'Or acceptance speech, his second in 3 years, Marcus shocked the world by announcing the Second Chance Initiative, a global program to fight discrimination in football. Its first action? Buying the very club where Barrett had rejected him. The press went wild when Marcus appointed Ronaldo as the honorary chairman. Together, They transformed the small Manchester club into an academy focused on finding overlooked talent, particularly from marginalized communities. Then came the day that brought everything full circle. During the academy's opening ceremony, a familiar face appeared in the crowd. Richard Barrett, older now, humbled by time and consequences. He had spent the years since his dismissal in obscurity, watching Marcus's rise from afar. Marcus spotted him and did something unexpected. He invited Barrett onto the stage. "This man," Marcus addressed the crowd, "taught me the most important lesson of my life, that one person's no can lead to a million people's yes. Today, we're not here to shame anyone. We're here to change everything." Barrett, tears in his eyes, publicly apologized. Marcus's response became headline news worldwide. The best revenge is not revenge at all. It's creating a world where what happened to me never happens to anyone else. The Academy became a blueprint for similar institutions worldwide. Within 5 years, it had produced dozens of professional players from backgrounds similar to Marcus's. Each success story was another brick in the wall of change. By 2030, Marcus Thompson wasn't just a footballer anymore. He was a revolution. His records, including 3 World Cup victories for Ballon d'Or and countless scoring records, were impressive, but his impact on the sports culture was immeasurable. Ronaldo, watching his protege change the game in ways even he hadn't imagined, often reflected on that winter evening in Manchester. One decision, one moment of standing up against injustice, had sparked a transformation that would echo through generations. In his final professional match, age 35, Marcus scored his 1,000th career goal. As the ball hit the net, he pointed to the sky, then to Ronaldo in the stands, before revealing a shirt that read, "Dreams don't discriminate." The story of Marcus Thompson became more than a sports legend. It became a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of mentorship, and proof that the beautiful game could be made even more beautiful when its doors were truly open to all. Remember, every no you receive might just be the universe's way of redirecting you to your biggest yes. Like Marcus and Ronaldo showed us, sometimes our greatest obstacles become our greatest opportunities. Share this story if you believe in second chances, and remember, your dreams don't need anyone's permission to come true. This story isn't just about football. It's about breaking barriers, challenging prejudices, and the power of believing in someone when no one else will. It reminds us that true legends aren't just made on the pitch. They're made by the lives they change and the doors they open for others. Did this story move you? Here's how you can be part of the change. Hit subscribe to join our community of dreamers and game changers. Like this post if you believe in second chances. Comment below with your own story of overcoming rejection. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Tag a mentor who changed your life or someone who never stopped believing in you. Remember, success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right.